Hey guys, and welcome to this week's episode of The Fad Show. So if you've been following my channel for a few months, you'll know that I bought this car back in November. This is a BMW 328i with 6-speed manual and rear-wheel drive. So in this video, I'm going to give you an introduction to the car, talk about everything that's wrong with it, and talk about what my future plans are with the vehicle. So stay tuned. All right, so like I said, back in November, I picked up this car. I was doing my daily search of Craigslist and finding it over in Dallas. It was at kind of an intermediate dealer that bought wholesale cars. It was a one-owner 328i, 107,000 miles, 6-speed manual and rear-wheel drive. And when I got it, I knew the car was rare. I watch Bring a Trailer all the time, and I'd been following the e91 wagons on there, and a few of them have been going for pretty good money on there, as well as the E46 wagons. But I knew the car was rare, but not how rare it turned out to be. I actually found an article on BMW blog where there was only ever 429 of these imported to the United States. So just to put that into perspective, the Ferrari F40, there was only ever 213 US spec cars imported. So if you think about it, it makes this car half as rare as a Ferrari F40. I kind of wish it was worth as much as a Ferrari F40, because then I could retire early or buy an island or something. But I digress, and this is the car I have, and I don't regret buying it. Actually, it's kind of a funny story how I came to love the E90 BMWs. This is the e91, e90 is the sedan, e92 is the coupe, I think, e93 convertible. But my love for cars started back in kind of the late 2000s, where I was watching a bunch of old Top Gear videos. I didn't really come from a car family at all. It was honestly just watching Top Gear that inspired my passion for cars. But about the time that I started really liking cars was the time that these vehicles came out, back when I was in high school and college, and all the automotive journalists would praise this car, saying it was the quote-unquote benchmark for all sports sedans. And at the time, I was into the tuner scene. I didn't really think much of it. Just kind of, how could one car do it all, you know? But then when I started my first job, I ended up buying like brand new Subaru WRX when I got out of college. But I started my first job, and there was someone worked in the same building as me that had a 335 coupe, which was space gray, had coral red interior, and 6-speed manual. And I just found myself lusting after that car so much that I would search it out in the parking lot every day and park next to it and stand there and admire it for a minute before I go into work. Yes, I have a problem. But I thought to myself that if I ever could find a way to afford it, then that was the car that I wanted. So I started saving my pennies, and I found a way that I could finally get one. So I got a 2011 335i coupe. I got it as a certified pre-owned. I owned the car for 3 years. I only sold it to get my Cayman, and I absolutely love the car. It was perfect. And then recently, my F31 BMW wagon had some mechanical issues that I'll go into in another episode, but it's caused me to daily drive this one for the last month, and it's kind of rekindled my love for the E90 generation cars. Just to put in perspective, in today's cars, you probably have one brand that's good at every little thing, but in this generation, BMW is the best in all categories, in my opinion. Obviously, a lot of that is subjective, but nowadays, where you have Mercedes leading the way with technology interiors, a lot of people say Audi is leading the way in looks. You have the Cadillac ATS platform, which is kind of the new benchmark for handling, I guess. I haven't driven one, but that's what I read. And then, engines for the base model, sports sedans, the 2-liter turbos, direct injections, to me, they're all kind of the same power and they all sound the same. So there's probably not something that stands out there. Whereas in this generation, all the brands had different different applications of the same horsepower number, where Audi had the 4-cylinder turbo, Mercedes had the V6, and then BMW had the inline-6. And to me, it's just the silky smooth inline-6, and the sound is much better than the other options, in my opinion. But it was just impressive that BMW could be the ultimate driving machine, and it had the best handling by far. I know a lot of people say this and the E46 were some of the best chassis ever engineered in a sports sedan, and still having that hydromechanical steering feel, and then that silky smooth inline-6 with adequate power in the non-turbo versions, and the sound of it, which today you can still get a 6-cylinder, but it's muffled a little bit by the twin turbo system. And then also having good interior and good exterior looks. It was just the total package. And now, after owning 2 of them, I can understand why it was considered the benchmark. And I hope that someday that these cars will get the love that the E46 is starting to get. I love driving them. I think they're awesome value right now. And I just hope that someday people will see in it what I do. But with that, let's do what this car does best and get it on the road and take it for a little drive. All right, now that we've got this thing on the open road, let's talk about the driving dynamics of it. As I always do with my driving impressions, I like to start with the inputs for the vehicle. So the pedals placement is just as you'd want it. Allows you to heel toe if you need to. The only thing is the brake is a little squishy, so sometimes when you go to flip the throttle, you'll get a little bit of a pressure spike on the brakes. I wish it was a little firmer, but beggars can't be choosers. Really, the only car that has a better pedal input that I've driven is my Cayman. And then, of course, the BMW handling, steering feel, and chassis balance is just incredible. I love the weight of the BMW handling. I love the BMW hydromechanical steering racks. I wish we could go back to them because they were the high water mark for steering feel. And then the balance of these cars. For a front-engine rear-wheel drive car is really impressive. I mean, it makes it feel like it's mid-engine now that I actually have owned a Cayman and I'm back in the e90, and I know what the mid-engine balance feels like. These cars they're just incredible, and that's what made me fall in love with my 335i. As much power as that car had, just the balance of going through a corner in it was just felt good. But yeah, and then the pickup of this car, this is the N52 six-cylinder. I think it's about 245 horsepower. Not sure on torque, but honestly, for this car, I think it's going to be my daily, so I'm not too concerned. It has far more power than my F31 328D. That car, kind of dangerous passing on the highway with how little power it has. So coming from that as a daily, going to this feels awesome. And that's the engine, it's smooth inline 6 BMW. Been the same way for a while and will be the same way, although I guess it won't be naturally aspirated anymore with the new turbocharged engines. But I guess that goes over the driving dynamics of this car. I mean, this isn't a 335 coupe, it's a 328 wagon, but it still has all that BMW DNA and still is special, despite the fact that it's a touring and not a coupe. But all right, that brings me to what my plans are for this, or everything that's wrong with this car, and what my plans are for it. So actually my F31 broke down a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It's been in the shop, so I've been driving this car every day, so I've started to learn even better about all its quirks and the things that are wrong with it. But there's actually not too much wrong with it. First off, the one that's probably the most annoying is the fact that it's been really cold here in North Texas recently, and the heat doesn't work very well. It works okay once the car gets warmed up for a while and you put it on recirc. It will at least keep the car warm, although it just doesn't blow very hot. If you turn the fan up too high, it's just like lukewarm. So I've checked the thermostat, or I've plugged in my OBD2 scanner so I could check the temperatures while we're driving, because this car doesn't have a temperature gauge, and the thermostat's working. So I think it's the heater core is plugged up, because the blender doors are working and will cycle between hot and cold. So yeah, I think the heater core is plugged up, but from what I've read online, it's a common problem with these cars. So I'm going to try and flush it, and hopefully that works, just putting some water through it backwards to try and clean it out, because it's a pain in the ass to replace the heater core because you have to take the entire dash off. I really don't want to do that. But that's a big problem. The other one, it has a tiny oil leak. I have to add a quart probably every 4 fill-ups. So it's not too bad, a quart every 2,000 miles or so. I'm not really sure where it's coming from. This car has a huge skid plate underneath it. I haven't taken it off. I'm thinking it's either drain plug washer gasket or the actual oil pan gasket itself, because I've inspected the valve cover and I can't see it coming from there. Hoping that it's the drain plug, because I really don't feel like dropping the subframe to replace the oil pan gasket, but I'm not too concerned about that. And that's pretty much it. I mean, everything else is amazing. Everything electronically, besides what I already talked about, works. Car feels great. I mean, it only has 110,000 miles on it. But for being 12 years old, it doesn't feel like any of the bushings or anything are worn out. But that being said, I think I've enjoyed daily driving this car so much these last 3 weeks that I'm honestly thinking that I might sell my F31 wagon and just daily this, just because it's a little bit cheaper and it won't depreciate as much. I don't think this car will lose any value, to be honest. A little worse on fuel economy, but I enjoy driving the manual, and I enjoy having just a little bit of power, more power. The diesel, like I said, passing on the highway or passing on a 2-lane like 65 mile per hour road is just dangerous in that car, because it's got nothing up high. But I think I'm going to make a few performance enhancements just to make this car a little bit more, a little sportier, I guess, or a little more for my taste. And I think I'll probably do bushings all around, just because it is 12 years old and they haven't worn out yet, but I'm sure they're on their way out. So I'll probably do some polyurethane bushings and maybe a good set of coilovers and shocks for it. Nothing too crazy. And then just some bigger wheels and some sticky tires, because I think this has the 16-inch wheels on it, and it just looks kind of like a grocery getter. I want to make it look like a little meaner, almost like my F31. I really like the factory pre-LCI 335i wheels, the ones that kind of have like the circular spokes on them, almost like the Volkswagen Austin rims. So I think I'll get a set of those and some Michelin Pilot Super Sports for it, and then the bushing, suspension, and then maybe an intake or something. That's pretty much it. I don't really care this car has enough power for a daily, and I don't want to destroy the engine. And then I'll just do some preventative stuff, all the filters and fluids and stuff. But I think when that's all done, this car will be pretty sweet, and it'll be a good daily. I kind of feel bad that I've fallen in love with this car and out of love with my F31 wagon since it broke down. But I don't know. This car just has you just get more of a connection with it, with the hydromechanical power steering and the manual transmission and naturally aspirated engine. It's just more mechanical and visceral, and the kind of drive that I personally like. The only thing I think I'll miss is the new technology of my other car, like the keyless entry or comfort access key, whatever BMW calls it, and the parking sensors and backup camera. I have gotten used to having those, but the driving feel is what matters to me, so I think that I'll be more happy driving this car every day. So with that, I hope you guys liked this video. It's been an introduction to my 328i wagon, a little bit of history about the car and its rarity and how I came to have it and what my plans are for it. And this car's, I feel like the e90 generation is not really loved currently, but I think in the future it might live up to the level that the E46 is becoming. At least that's my personal opinion, but I hope you guys have liked this video. If you really liked it, you could help me out and like and subscribe so I can share this content with more people and get better ideas for future videos and such. Well, I hope you guys all have a good day. Thanks for watching. Bye.